Mabuhay, Kamustika, welcome. How are you? This is Bob from Love Beyond the Sea. 12 things I wish I knew about dating when I was younger. That's what I want to talk about today. This one's for the younger men. I can't undo my past. I can't relive it as much as I'd like to sometimes. When you get older, you have perspective that you wish you could have had way back in the 70s like me. Those were my formative years. By the 80s, I could have gotten married, but I struck out that decade. Keep doing what you're doing. Just let the video roll. I'll try not to be too long. Subscribe to Love Beyond the Sea. Hit up the lvbts.com website. If you have comments, leave them here. And remember to always go where you're wanted. Some things never go out of style. That includes dating and marriage. I get the impression young guys want to be with young women, but correct me if I'm wrong, aren't sure exactly what to do with that. Settle down, play the field for how long? You know, when I was younger, back when the wheel was invented, people still got married. Today, not so much, or not as much, or as early in life. There seems to be a lot of confusion over what the purpose of marriage is and how valuable it is. I would even say how necessary it is. Here are some things that I want to show you. I think it's important to have good friends. How important are relationships? Should I really be married? You're not going to get married at 15, but I wish I had understood that at some point. It helps to have a vision begin to form in your life, and that includes your 20s. If you're lucky, you had parents who had a good marriage going and dropped hints that one day you should have a spouse too. Parents lead by example, but when we're young, we don't often readily appreciate what they're trying to do. But having people in your life, peers, even friends, to guide you, listen to you, who won't steer you wrong, is important. It factors into dating because you want people in your life to be supportive of the right things and keep you away from the wrong things. So think carefully about who your friends will be. Female friend. It's great to have friends. We need that. There's a kind of special friend of the opposite sex that I think you'll need for a long time, that can do for you what only they can do for you. You only have so much time to find her if you want to spend many decades together. I regret that I never comprehended this when I was younger. I was just doing my own thing. I wish I had thought ahead for a wife at a young age. I'm talking about teenage years now. Is it unrealistic to be encouraged to consider a relationship with a young woman as a young man? I don't think so, but today there are dissenting voices coming from all directions. A wise man told me one time, there's nothing better than a good woman. He also said, and there's nothing worse than a bad one, or unwanted pop-ups. Those are quite a distraction too. So let's just get rid of them all in one fell swoop. Now, role models, mentors. I think it's getting more difficult to find role models, people who can encourage someone to seek a relationship with a long-range view in mind. And there will come a point in time when a young man will discover he is far removed from opportunities he won't get again. There seems to be kind of a natural rhythm to life, or a lifespan. Priorities are crucial to developing a plan for your life. If there's not some kind of intentionality, having success is unlikely to happen in much of anything. Having a mentor or role model who can help you focus on what's important in a relationship like marriage is critical, because they can help you focus on what's best for your relationship, knowing how important it is to work things out. This person can challenge you to be the best husband you could be. Now, this video is about what I wish I knew about dating when I was younger. I just mentioned several types of relationships, who you should know. Now about what I wish I knew specifically back then. One thing would be, don't waste your time. Don't waste your time. I know a lifetime seems like an eternity when you're younger, but it's going to go by quicker as you get older. Try to make something of yourself. Determine what you're good at doing, how you should earn a living. I don't believe anyone can be anything they want to be. I don't think that's realistic. Find out what you're good at and pursue a job in that field. This is important because you want to provide for a wife someday, right? Develop skills instead of thrills. Go to college if you can, or go to a trade school, but do something to help you make the most of your abilities. And another thing, work hard at your job. Work hard at it. This applies because I'm referring to looking at your vocation, trade, or profession as a means to provide for a family. Tie in your work with your family. It's not just a place to endure for 8 or 9 hours a day. It becomes a place to apply yourself diligently for the good of your future, and that includes your wife and your children possibly. Be the best you can be at that job. Don't avoid working overtime. It pays a lot better. Also, learn about marriage. You don't have to know all there is to know about marriage or even that person before you get married, but read, ask people you trust whose marriages are good. Being able to stay married is a skill, a learned skill. If it wasn't so easy, there would be no divorces. But learn what it takes and learn what works and what doesn't. Learn from other people's mistakes. I believe you can learn a lot from this channel. Another thing is to save money. Like anything else, the clock is running on how much time you have to earn a living. Learning to save and even invest $100 a month throughout your working life will help. In time, you'll want to save more. Your employer might even match a certain amount. Saving money isn't about being materialistic. It's about being realistic. Someday, you won't be able to work, and you might even have to stop before you want to, depending on your condition. Saving money rules out gambling, and that includes lotteries and scratch cards and such. Saving money also involves not wasting it, just like your time. Another thing is giving is better than receiving. Receiving is nice, but giving results in a sense of satisfaction that is greater than receiving. Often receiving is directly involved with giving. I think relationships are like that. At some point, doing your own thing gets unrewarding. When you are married, giving results in receiving often the very things you need and want the most. Marriage is not a man-made institution. No, it's not just a piece of paper either. The whole concept of marriage is God's, initiated in the Garden of Eden, Genesis 2. Starting verse 20, so the man gave names to all the livestock, the birds in the sky, and all the wild animals. But for Adam, no suitable helper was found. So the Lord caused the man to fall into a deep sleep, and while he was sleeping, he took one of the man's ribs and then closed up the place with flesh. Then the Lord God made a woman from the rib he had taken out of the man, and he brought her to the man. The man said, "This is now bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, for she was taken out of man. That is why a man leaves his father and mother and is united to his wife, and they become one flesh." Now that was a lot longer ago than you might find in a textbook for the first recorded marriage, but there it is, from the first recorded man and woman. The reason I mention this is because when it first dawned on me, that the Bible spoke so frankly on marital and relational issues, I understood, that it was more than just a spiritual book only. The more I read, the more I saw that since God made marriage, he can also decide who needs it and who doesn't. 1 Corinthians 7 makes that clear. Since marriage is God's idea, he has a blueprint for how it will work. If I believe that marriage was merely a man-made institution, I would not get married. Now, life isn't always fair is another thing to remember. And of course, I could say a lot more of this, but we want to keep this video reasonable. Life isn't always fair. Or to put it another way, since life isn't always fair, marriage might not be fair either. It is going to take some effort, the right perspective, which I try to talk about in Love Beyond the Sea. And since marriage is God's idea, I think it needs to be approached the way he teaches. As a Christian, I must rely on God to be the type of husband he wants me to be. People cheat. That doesn't mean that marriage is no longer a good idea. It is and always will be. A spouse might get sick, injured, or die. Life just isn't always going to be fair. And here's another one. Dating should lead to marriage. My personal belief, dating should lead to marriage, be about marriage. I know this might be a new one, I don't know for you, but I've heard dating should just be for fun. That's what people said. Oh, just don't worry about, don't be so serious, just date for fun. But if I believed that dating was just for fun, I know exactly what kind of fun I would want to have and how much I would sell out to get it. I think it is unrealistic to just date for fun unless you have no physical attraction to that person, in which case you probably wouldn't be dating them. Leave comments. Remember, maybe you will disagree with me on this. And another thing to think about is I wish I had known, and I wish other people would know when they're younger, that it's okay to do what is not popular. It's okay to do what isn't popular. Many years ago, I wouldn't have to say this, but these days marriage isn't as in vogue as it used to be. Don't pay attention to people labeling themselves as MGTOWs, men going their own way. They aren't going anywhere. They aren't doing what men do, and they're not going to be fulfilled at the end of their life. Don't sign up for that. Don't be a pickup artist. Don't be a player. Be a man who values marriage as the means to the most fulfilling life for most people. I didn't say easy. I said fulfilling, satisfying. Marriage is the goal because it is for companionship, safe sex, the best sex, for having children, for leaving a legacy by instilling the right values. I'm one of the lucky ones, although I'm not really a fan of the idea of luck. As you may or may not know, I didn't get married until I was the golden age of 53. I knew it was the right time to pursue, or the right thing to pursue. That's why I relentlessly pursued marriage. There were times I think people tried to make me accept being single, tried to talk me out of marriage. See the playlist called Cringeworthy Things Said to Single Christian Men. I've done 6 of those, and I still have 4 parts to go because I heard a lot of cringeworthy things. So check that out. We can't undo mistakes, but we can learn from them. I was able to do that and eventually find my love beyond the sea.